Creating a side-by-side grouped bar chart is super easy in Tableau, but not when you have two fields that you want to be at the bottom of the axis. So if I put year into the columns and change it to be discrete, and I put metric into the columns and the amount into the rows, you can see that it put year at the top of the axis and the metric at the bottom of the axis. And if I switch year and metric around, you can see that it's grouping it differently. And I want to display all three metrics side by side for each year. I have another video that uses a workaround to group both at the bottom of the axis, but for this video, I'm going to do it with custom positioning of the x-axis. The first thing I'll do is create a calculated field called year CF. Within there, I'll type quotation 1-1- quotation plus the string of the year. And I'm going to wrap it in the date function to ensure it's a date. So for 2023, for example, it'll say 1-1-2023. This part's not necessary, but I like to create a parameter for the width since I'm going to use this variable multiple times. I'll call it width and set the current value to 40 to give us a starting point. And then I'll right-click the parameter to show it on the worksheet. To create the custom positioning for the x-axis, I'm going to create a calculated field called x-axis. And I'll type case for the attribute of metric. When the metric is sales, then the attribute of the year calculated field plus the width parameter times a variable, which I'm going to start with 6. And I'll copy that line down and change sales to profit, and the variable from 6 to 9. I'll copy that line down again, and I'll change profit to EBITDA, and the variable to 12. And then put an end at the end to close the case. Now replace whatever's in the columns with this x-axis field. And then right-click and make it continuous. Now we need to pull in the width parameter into the marks and change it from detail to a size. Also pull the year calculated field into the marks as a detail and the metric into the marks as a color. It automatically thinks this should be a line, but I'm going to go up to the marks and change it to a bar. But now the dates look really weird at the bottom, so I'm going to right-click Format and change the date format to be a custom YYYY, which is the year. But now these dates are repeating 3 times, so I'm going to edit the axis. First, just get rid of the title, and then go to the tick marks and choose Fixed for the major tick marks, and do an interval of 1 year. The cool thing about this method is that we can move these bars anywhere we want. So I'm going to right-click and edit the x-axis. And we can play around with these variables, so instead of 6, I'll try 7, and instead of 12, I'll try 11, and see where that puts us. They're still not exactly side by side, so I'm going to go in and add a constant to our first line of 10. And you can see that pushed it a little bit too far over, so I'm going to change it to 8. Now that looks perfect. And then I'm going to subtract a constant from the EBITDA or the third bar. Try 10 first. And that worked perfectly. The drawback of this method is that it's not responsive to the data. So for example, if you had more years than 5 years, the bars might not be exactly side by side. They might be overlapping a little bit. But the other method I have, which moves both groups to the bottom of the axis, is responsive. So you can go check out that video.